Hey there crafty friends, my name is Linda Dolke and I'm a demonstrator with Stampin' Up! In Australia, and today I want to do a quick and simple video just to show you how to use the gorgeous new Mountain Air stamp set. This is a stamp set that you'll find in our current mini catalogue, right over here on pages 52 to 53 here. It has 7 different images, but these are reversible. So I wanted to show you how to use these because you've got your 7 images, but you can also use the backs, which gives you a whole bunch of images. There's some beautiful samples here to show you how to use it, and there's also matching dies, which I'm not using today, but you'll see these are really, really beautiful as well. So lots and lots of cool things that you can do with this. So let's get started. All you're going to need for this one today is half a sheet of Whisper White A4. I'm very, very simple with sizing. Just cut your piece of paper in half and fold it in half again. Okay, I'm using a bone folder there just to make my edge nice and flat. Okay, now today I'm going to be doing this little card. So we've just got here a row of mountains. We've got some mountains appearing sort of to disappear into the distance behind, a moon and some pine trees in the foreground. So nice and simple, and I'm only using 3 colours to get this beautiful effect. I'm using Seaside Spray, which is one of our current in colours. I'm using Night of Navy, and I'm also using Smoky Slate. So they're the 3 colours. We're going to start with the Seaside Spray, and what we're going to do initially is I'm going to get my row of mountains and I'm going to pop them down here on my paper, my scrap paper, and I've got them so that the design, that you can feel the design, it's on one side, that's facing down, so the back is the flat, smooth back of the stamp. And then I'm going to pick it up with my block. I'm using block I, but you can use whatever big block you have, or if you have a Stamper Artist, you could use that as well. All right, I'm going to bring this here. I'm going to open up my Seaside Spray ink pad, and I'm going to ink this up from one side to the other. And I'm using my grid paper just to, I find if I am worried about things being straight, having grid underneath is really, really helpful. And I'm going just kind of close to halfway with this stamp, and I'm just going to stamp it straight down. Now, because it's a detailed stamp, it doesn't really matter if I don't have a mat or anything underneath, but for our next step I am going to use a mat, and I use a piercing pad, so that's just one of these. Okay, I'm going to use that for the next step. So here's the next step. We're going to use the reverse side of this stamp. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to pull it off, and then I'm going to put that detail that we just stamped with, I'm going to have that up, and I'm going to pick it up again. So now I've got the smooth back of the stamp facing up. I'm going to come in here with my Seaside Spray again. I'm going to make sure it's inked all over. And this time I want to pop it on a mat because it's a more solid stamp. When you've got a more solid stamp, you want to have a mat or something behind, which will help to make the stamp more solidly. Before I stamp it though, I'm actually going to stamp it off on my sheet of paper here, my scrap, and then I'm going to come in here. I'm going to line it up so that it matches the mountains and then move it over a little bit because I don't want it to be the same. I'm going a little higher than the original mountain because I want it to look like these are further away, and I'm going to stamp that. All right, you should be able to see now we've got another, like a second row of mountains sort of in the background there. And then without re-inking at all, I'm actually going to move them over again so they once again don't match up. And I'm going to go a tiny bit higher, and I'm going to stamp that down. Now if these mountains don't come out strong enough for you, you could repeat the process. Ink it up again, stamp it off, and do it again. But I want them to look like they're off in the distance. All right. Now totally up to you whether or not you're happy with how dark those are. I'm not completely happy, so I'm actually going to do what I said. I'm just going to stamp again, and I'm going to line those up with what I had before. The good thing about these, because they're see-through, the blocks and the stamps, you can sort of stamp over. Yeah, that's better. Okay, so I've got a row, and then I've got another row and another row. It looks like the mountains are disappearing off into the distance there. But you can kind of, like I just did, play around it with it a little bit. The next colour I'm going to move up to is Smoky Slate. Okay, now this is a very new ink pad, which means it's stamping very dark because it's new. There's a lot of ink on the surface here. So I'm actually going to stamp this one off because it's too dark otherwise. And there's two things I want to do with it. First of all, I've got the moon stamp here from the same set. I'm going to ink that up. I'm going to stamp it off on my scrap. See how dark it is? That's way too dark for a moon, but now that we've stamped it off, am I happy with that? Yeah, I'll go this way. Okay, I want to see how much lighter it is after you stamp it off. That's much better. That to me looks more like the colour a moon might potentially be. Now I'm going to use this same one, and this time I'm using the tree. I'm using the trees. Okay, so one side has the detail. You can see I used it for navy before. And then the other side is the back. So this side, I can feel that's the rough side. So I want to put that side face up. I want to pick it up with my block. I've left the navy on it because it makes it easier for you to see in the video. And I'm now inking up the back of that stamp. So this is the solid one. Now you should be able to see how much, there's so much ink on this pad. It's just way too dark. So I'm going to stamp that off. See how dark it is? And then I'm going to stamp it on here. Now I'm going to go right down towards the bottom of my mountain. And I'm just going to stamp a lighter, like a shadow. So the back of the stamp does look quite shadowy. Can you see that? All right. And then I'm going to, ideally what I should do, I'm always, sometimes a bit lazy, so I should clean off the back. And then I'm going to pick it up. Okay, this time I'm going to put it so that I can feel the design is down. So now I'm picking up that stamp the other way, and so now I've got my design showing rather than the background. And this time I'm going to come in with a row of Night of Navy. Hopefully you can see how pretty this is. It's what it's doing basically is, as we work our way down, we're building up the layers. All right, so a little bit. So the navy is the darkest color on here. And I'm just going to bring that down in front of that shadow. Don't need to have a lot of the shadow showing. I'm going to bring that so that now I've got my trees in front. Can you see how we're building up the layers? And it almost looks 3D. It's fantastic. Love, love, love this stamp set. All right, I did manage to get a bit of an inky finger there, which is from my dirty fingers. Don't worry, if that does happen to you, you can always put a strip here to stamp your greeting on. I'm just going to stamp straight on, and in fact I might even stamp it over this side for that reason. And I decided I'm going to use the Happy Birthday. I'm going to go with the same Night of Navy ink. The Happy Birthday that I'm using, I wanted a long thin one. It's from the set called Music from My Heart. There you go, or from the Heart. Music from the Heart, which is another stamp set in our current mini catalogue. This one's great too. All right, so let me put that down over this side. Okay, and there's one last thing that I wanted to do. On a smaller block, I'm going to use my navy again, being the darkest colour on my card. Just very, very lightly tap. Now this is, you can see them here, the little birdies from the same set. And I want that to go just here in front of this distant mountain. And I'm going to have a few more birds, a nice little flock of birds there. There they go. How cool is that? All right, so I'm actually really happy with that. That's what I would call a very successful one layer card. It's quick and easy to achieve. You just build your layers as you work your way down. It's a beautiful set, and it's only $35 for the set. I think it's a really good value set. There are dies to match as well. If you want the bundle, then there's a 10% saving when you're buying both the dies and the stamp set together. And you can do that in my online store. If you don't have a demonstrator and you're in Australia, but you'd like to purchase this, head over to my store. You'll find the address for both my blog and my Facebook page below in the description, and the shop now button is found on both of those pages, and you can visit the store from there. So check that out if that's something you'd like to do, or ask questions, anything you need to know. I love this stamp set. I'm going to be doing a lot more with it. You can step it up and do something a lot more complicated if you want to, but I think sometimes just doing something quick and simple is the way to go. Great for masculine cards, great for birthdays, thinking of you. It's just beautiful. Okay, have a great day, guys. I will be back with more for you soon. See you soon. Bye-bye.